Meeting to order. We'll start with the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting April 14th. Everybody's had a chance to read it. Any corrections need to be made?
I move to approve.
Second.
And probably moved and second to approve the minutes of April 14th meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. Next item of business is the general fund vouchers, 77,785 through 77,823, and wire transfers 192 double lot 476 through 192 double lot 517.
Move to approve.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded to approve the general fund vouchers as read. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. Public comments. No public here tonight. First item of new business, the official oath of new school boards.
We have two individuals taking it.
So if they just feel comfortable reading the oath, we can do it that way.
Sure.
We're going to read it together?
Use your name or my name?
Actually, could somebody just read it and hold their hands up?
Don't you need to say it?
I don't think it matters,
No?
though.
Okay, hold your hands up. I'll read. I, the undersigned, Skip and Greg, who have been duly elected to the Board of Education of the School District of Clear Lake, but not yet have entered upon the duties thereof, swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Wisconsin, and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability, so help me God. I do, Greg?
I will.
And I will?
I will.
Yep,
Okay. Next item of business is the reorganization of the school board. And I just wanted to throw out there that in the situation that we're in with the board that we have, the position of the offices that we hold, don't really have a lot of difference. In past years, the president has had more responsibilities as far as getting the communicating between the board and the superintendent to get things on the agenda. But now that we've got the future agenda items thing on our meeting, if you're the president or if you're a member of the school board, we all kind of have equal access to the superintendent and to the agenda, which works out fine when we've got a board that functions as high as ours does. So that being said, if anybody wants any of the positions, it doesn't matter to me. So if anybody wants to take the presidency,
I vote we leave it the same. But
I'm happy.
I move to approve that. Can we do that?
we could do that.
Are you fine with that, Greg? I'm sure you-
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
What I'm doing, I just want to offer up if anybody else wants to
Sure.
take a turn, but
If anybody wants the treasurer also, if they want to look and see where we put money.
Nope.
okay. Well, if we're done with that, then that's good too. Then I just wanted to make sure you guys and speak up for the next time too if you guys want to reorganize. All right, then that's put to rest. The next item of business is the review of the COVID-19 response.
Okay, so rather than putting it in the board packet, the items that have the paper clip on them are just kind of the responses that we've been doing. So I just wanted to kind of talk through some of those and answer any questions that you guys might have along the way. So it's been quite a whirlwind, with changes made, and I know you guys have been in some of those emails, but between the Department of Public Instruction, the Department of Health Services, the local agencies, it's just been a lot of stuff getting thrown at us and then quickly changed on us. One of those items is graduation, which I've got this on the kind of the first piece to talk about, but this has been by far the most, I think I've used, and many people have used the term rapidly evolving or rapidly changing, but definitely the most rapidly evolving and changing situation that I've ever been a part of. I mean, it really has been from local level all the way up, and I think a lot of it has to do with the changes from the potential litigation that has happened, and then just kind of filters all the way down. But one of those things has been graduation. We talking to a couple about the parade is a good example. We're trying to do our best to really honor these kids. I think I put it in my message to the parents, but it really is true. I mean, this graduation is the culmination of everything that we stand for in public education, everything that we strive for, and obviously we want more than that. We look at the whole child, and I don't mean that we want what's best for all of our students and their mental health and their well-being, but as far as the education piece is concerned, it really is the culmination of everything that we strive for, and it's a representation of everything that these kids have done from pre-K, all the way to the end of their senior year. I mean, it really isn't about 12th grade at all. It's about everything that's led up to 12th grade. So, I felt bad that some of the parents were maybe frustrated, or we cause frustration with some of this, but it really was a kind of, and it still is. I mean, you saw the email that I just recently shared with you guys, and I just decided to share with the entire parents just so they could see, hey, we're still receiving guidance. That was that day I received that from the Department of Public Instruction on behalf of the DHS, as far as cancel all graduation ceremonies, and through the summer. Well, that caused even that email that I shared with them, that caused a storm in the Department of Public Instruction. All superintendents across the state are trying to figure out, what the definition of summer means. But then there's also that last sentence in that is work with your local health agencies, which would be, Polk County Health Department. So there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle that we're still trying to iron out. But long story short, with graduation, we've sent the survey out to the parents. I sent another email out today, just saying, hey, all those individuals that haven't yet taken the survey, please take it by 4 o'clock on Wednesday, just to give an end date so we can then get a date out to all of our families and say, this is our graduation date. We don't know what the restrictions will be. The 2 dates were July 26th and then August 2nd. We tried to look at, things that potentially fairs and wanted to stay away from things that aren't canceled, but we also have to recognize that we have next year to plan for. We have summer school. We have a lot of things for the 2021 school year that are unknown and variables that are in play that we have to begin planning for. So wanted to get a date set and then kind of hope for the best on that date to hopefully put something in place that will recognize and honor these kids in a way that they deserve. The 15th, which is this Friday, that was the beginning of the chaos as far as the seniors, deciding stuff for the seniors is concerned. We had planned a parade internally, had some kids involved in a committee, and then the Department of Public Instruction put something out saying that all parades were to be canceled. Because to be honest, everybody's in the same boat. I mean, there's not a ton of thinking outside the box because our hands are so tied that most school districts are talking about the car parades, and they're talking about the virtual graduation. So anyway, then they released another statement saying that we're okay to move forward with parades. So this Friday we're moving forward with the senior parade. The intent behind the May 15th, we talked to some of the kids and said, do you want us, initially we said, do you want a car parade on the 15th, or do you want to wait till the 7th and do, when we distribute diplomas, or do you want it on both? And they said, we'd really like to have it on both, and we want to do everything in our power to honor these kids in every way, shape, or form, because we know they're missing out on so much. So we were great with that. So the 15th is, on that day, the seniors typically, it's their last day of school, and then they drive around the high school, do a lap, and then the elementary, do a lap or two, and honk their horns. Kind of a long-standing tradition is what I've been told. So very fun, very, kind of innocent, fun thing that takes place every year. So we said we would be more than willing to do that on the 15th, so we're having Our staff will be on the grass here in front of the main building, on the front, and then the elementary will be in the bus loop. So they'll be able to drive around the elementary. We talked to Polk County Health, they're great with it. Talked to the local police department, they're going to be a part of it, and then the fire department are also going to be a part of it. So I believe the fire department is going to lead, and then the police department, I think Chief Strobish is going to follow the kids while they do their 2 laps, and then do their honking. We unfortunately can't have parents on the property because of the June 30th order that's in place and the mass gathering order that's in place. So we've asked them to not be on the property, but they can be across the street or in town. And then the elementary staff, like I said, they'll be in the bus garage loop. So excited to do that. We did a little bit of a parade, I guess, for lack of better terms, when we did the last elementary homework distribution. It was really well received. I mean, I think everybody's in the same boat. It was nice. It didn't hurt that it was very sunny out and it was nice. But it was nice to see smiling faces. I think our staff were thrilled to see the kids and the parents, and I think the feelings were mutual. Got a little bit of honking and got to see some kids smiling and waving at us. So hopefully the 15th will be very similar to that. So then May 21st is our awards and baccalaureate night. So for that, we are going to be doing a recorded presentation to honor all of those kids that received scholarships and awards. And then that will be released at 7 p.m. on our Facebook as a recorded and shared through our Facebook page to all of the families out there that want to participate or listen to that. May 27th and 8th, so immediately following the mass gathering, the Safer at Home order is complete, or will be most likely lifted May 26th. So then Mr. and Mrs. Hughes have asked, are individually scheduling kids to take pictures of the seniors in their cap and gown and with their with a diploma that we have. So we're going to have those individual pictures taken and then distribute those on the June 7th date along with the diploma. So, we don't do that. We haven't done that for any other class, but we're trying to think of ways that, the kids will be honored and recognized. We also purchased USBs with Clear Lake Warriors on them that we're going to download the awards presentation on and hand those out to every kid, as they drive through. The June 7th, there's a little bit of confusion. This is not in place of the graduation ceremony. It's just it truly is one more way that we want to honor the class of 2020. So very similar to the May 15th date, we're going to have on June 7th all the kids line up in their vehicles. We're asking that they stay in their vehicles and that they line up, and then they'll pull up. We'll be able to give them their diploma. And then, like I said, the picture and a USB and a USB drive with the awards ceremony on that. And then they've asked to do another lap and honk on that date as well, which we've given them the green light to do that as well. Then the survey was sent out to all parents for July 26th and August 2nd. I gave them, like I said, until Wednesday. Emailed out again today, just saying please complete the survey. And then Wednesday we'll have an official date identified that we'll be able to give to all of the families in best case scenario, and then kind of worst case scenario as far as what's going to happen on that date, depending on really what restrictions are or aren't in place, are really going to dictate that. We don't have the details ironed out with that, but we're kind of starting. It's going to be an evening ceremony. We're going to initially start with it outside and kind of see where that takes us. That will allow us the most flexibility with social distancing if weather permits, and then obviously we're going to have some backup plans as well. So that's graduation kind of update.
I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
I was asked, do they have to pick up their diploma that day? Or there was some kids that were wondering if they could get their diploma when they walked across the stage, or is it a mandatory thing? That's the day that they're going to do the diplomas.
That's the day that we're doing the diplomas. We're thinking of, because the thought behind that is we don't want we're trying to do our best to make sure nobody's compromised throughout this whole thing. And we recognize there are kids going to the military, there are kids going, to work, and then there might be even kids that don't want to be a part of this by the time, July or August rolls around. So we want to make sure that all diplomas are in hand. If they don't come in, we haven't really talked about if we're going to mail them home or what. On the ceremony day, we haven't discussed, what exactly we're doing, but we did talk about, we got to give them something because it would be awkward. We won't even, probably most likely won't even be able to shake hands because of, the restrictions and the virus situation. So we talked about, do we buy flowers as a representation of kind of the diploma on that date? What do we do? So that stuff hasn't been ironed out. But the July 26th and August 2nd date, we want to resemble as much as possible what takes place on the ceremony, on a traditional or normal, I guess, for lack of better terms, school year with the ceremony. We want a stage, we want cap and gowns, we want to announce everybody as graduates. But as far as the diplomas, those will be given out earlier. So if we do some type of, handing out some type of whatever we call diploma on that day, I'm not sure what that's going to look like or what we're going to hand to them.
Okay.
But there will be something given to each student, as if it's a pretend diploma or a flower, like I said. But haven't really talked through kind of all the details with that.
And is that the earliest that somebody can pick one up if they, like if a kid wants to just not do any of this, can they pick it up like the regular graduation day? Or do they have to wait till the 7th?
Well, if they wanted to do early and not participate, they'd have to wait till after the May 26th, probably safer.
Oh, yeah.
And then they could come in. That'd be unfortunate. I would hope that the kids will want to be a part of the June 7th day, because it really is another opportunity that we'll be able to celebrate them
Your
and
whole class and everything.
recognize them. And as unfortunate as it is, this is really going to be a memorable year. I think there's a lot of things that are unfortunate, and I feel horrible for the kids, what they're dealing with, the ups and downs of, I feel like we're even more unique than many schools because we had such highs and then such lows with the girls basketball team, and then this kind of led right into, followed that. So, and I do feel like we're, putting out information, then we're pulling it back, and with the graduation, we're trying to hang tight as long as possible. Like I said, the most recent DPI just released that, but unfortunately, it is what it is.
One question, it was because they had like a family wedding on June 7th, and it was set for that date, and they were wondering if it was mandatory that they had to be there, or if it was just.
Yeah, it's not. Really, the graduation as a whole every year is just symbolic as a ceremony it's a representation, so that student would still graduate if they met all the criteria, and then we'd get their diploma to them. However, if we have them come in after May 26th, or if we mail it to them, or whatever.
Sure.
But the 15th and the 7th, parents cannot be on school property for any of that.
Unfortunately,
Yes,
no.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Unless we said if they're riding in the car with their kid.
Oh, which is encouraged.
They could be in the car
can be in
with
the vehicle.
student, but they can't be standing there taking pictures or any of that.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And DPI even, or maybe it was Department of Health Services, I can't remember. One of them recommended that parents be in the vehicle. I don't remember what the rationale
What if
or
we run
reasoning
into where
was,
like
but
4 kids want to ride together in the same car? It's not really us to say that you can or can't, right? Or
no, there's so many variables that are outside of our control.
Right.
We don't want to promote that, and last thing we want is to have someone get ill because of something like this. But we've asked that they follow the recommendations of the social distancing, but
really that's as far as we can go.
Yeah.
Right. But there will be a cop following them, so.
Yeah. And I did, we've communicated out, when we met, I know some of the kids have heard this, but what happens on May 15th, which is, I really hope this doesn't happen, but would potentially impact June 7th too, or even, the ceremony if things are in place. If we can't feel like we can control it, the environment safely and provide social distancing because of, student behavior or other reasons, there unfortunately, we'd be put in a tough place to, maybe even cancel things, which I hate to even say, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
But I'm very confident. We have such a good group of kids that I feel like, everything that we've heard from the kids that they're excited about it and going to be participating in it. And it's you see our kids especially our seniors have shifted from students to working 40 to 50 hours a week. I mean, they're everywhere in the community in the workforce. I mean, they've been catapulted into the workforce. So you see them wherever you go. I mean, if you're filling up your gas or getting groceries, I mean, you see kids. So everything that I've heard, I've gotten a positive response. So I'm hopeful that this will, that all the things that we're talking about will be well received and that the kids will, take part in it. Any other questions with graduation? No? Okay.
Josh, part of the progression of us going through this is we do have to do something. I mean, if the goalposts change again, and all of a sudden they shut everything down again, and we hadn't handed out the diplomas, that puts us in a pretty precarious situation too. So part of this is we have to get this done.
Yeah.
Too, right?
Yeah, right.
And we will never get 100% participation.
No matter how you do it, just because it's so different.
Right, people have things planned, they need
Yeah.
to plan for these dates.
So we, it felt like the June 7th, and I know there might be individuals that aren't happy with the diploma distribution plan, but I feel like that's one piece that I feel like no kids will be compromised because they were scheduled. Well, they weren't scheduled till June 7th, but that was the last day for the entire district. And there's nothing that I've heard that where kids will be out of the district, for that. So we really wanted to make sure that we had that, and then obviously either July 26th or August 2nd date, whichever the parents choose on those two dates, that'll be just kind of another opportunity to celebrate them. But you're right. I mean, there are so many variables that I do feel like with the date now set, that date won't be moved. We won't look to postpone that or change that date. It'll just be, this is the date, and then here's the backup plan for that date, and then here's the backup plan for the backup plan on that date, depending on what restrictions or lack thereof are in place.
Is there any expectations that you have for us on these days? We're not parents, we're not technically employees.
Yeah, we actually are.
Oh, okay.
For the actual ceremony, there will be.
Okay.
We'll either. I know we talked before about possibly having the entire board, record something and send something virtually. That might still happen as a backup plan, or we might have you guys be a part of the. I'll let you guys decide if you want the entire board at that date, or if we want one individual representing the entire board on that date. Unfortunately, I think we're going to have like 3 or 4 kind of game plans for that date. Everything else I feel like is pretty set, but the July or August date will be, kind of up in the air depending on.
Well, I know we said we were willing to do anything, so I think we were just kind of looking for you to tell us when to be where and
Sure.
to do what.
Yep, and that once we have the date set, we'll start kind of brainstorming what that day will look like, and then what the different options are, and then I'll communicate with you guys as a whole board what that will mean for all of you.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Yep.
I think the diploma distribution, I'm going to try and be here for that, so I don't know if anybody wants to join.
Yeah.
And that's here.
Oh.
That's,
It can be-
I guess.
and-
Yeah, that would
Typically,
be.
The board has handed out diplomas in the past, so I was just wondering if you wanted us here to help with that.
I mean, that would be fantastic. We just kind of started talking about, what that will look like, actually today. So, I think it'd be great to have, either someone representing the board or the entire board there too. We talked about, setting up like maybe a tent and having a location where we're able to, physically hand it out into each vehicle, and that was really the extent of it.
too in the conversation. You know, a number of us have had people call us that were pretty adamant about kind of the plans coming down the chute, and I think it'd be a good idea to circle back and just make sure that that they understand that, you know, we've got the constraints that we do and why we are where we're at, and that we hope that you know, that they're okay with you know, the good intent that we have of trying to appease everybody and make it memorable for the kids. So I know I've got a couple of calls to make yet. I was going to wait till after tonight to do that, but I think it'd be a good idea to do that.
Yeah, I tossed around the idea too of having a senior parent meeting. I talked to Brian Kazmarski at Polk County just to say, hey, is this doable to have? You know, if I run 2 meetings, kind of similar like I did with the support staff, you know, meeting where we bring either it's one parent from each senior, bring them in, kind of give them all the information, then a Q&A type deal. And he felt like that was, you know, doable, and it would be, and that we could do it in a way that was not, you know, compromising anybody. So that's something that I just was tossing around over the weekend, just because I felt like, and I wasn't sure how everybody was going to receive, you know, the kind of the email and the survey and stuff. And for the most part, through the survey, I've gotten a lot of positive feedback. You know, people thanking, and you know, there were a couple, you know, thanking us for what we're doing, and even kind of apologetic in nature. But not all. But I just really, the communication has been probably one of the biggest hurdles that we're dealing with, because I feel like, you know, we could have just had an easy senior meeting, you know, senior parent meeting, brought everybody in and said, hey, this is where we're at, you know, this is what we're thinking. But instead you're trying to do it through email and you know, get that stuff sent out there. So I think it was kind of conducive to, you know, fostering frustration, which is unfortunate, because I do feel like, you know, if they step back, and I get the emotional piece of it, and I tried to explain that in, you know, my message and my email. I have 4 kids of my own. I mean, I don't want to pretend like I get what they're going through as a senior, but I get it at some level. You know, we've had tears in our house too with disappointment, and it's been hard for everyone, parents and kids, and my heart goes out to those seniors. I mean, because I feel like they kind of have been caught in the middle, you know, of dealing with all of this, and I'm sure they're hearing stuff at home, because that's, you know, what the parents are, you know, what they're hearing and what they're knowing, and try to get the correct information in their hands as best as I could. But I felt like a lot of times you send something out and it's like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? You know, it just changes. It was like a moving target on a roller coaster. But so that was one thing I thought, you know, do we open it up and just have the parents come in, and if they have Q&A, because I mean, I can't think of one question where I would feel uncomfortable answering. I feel like I feel like our hearts were in the right place. Like we're trying to do our best to put something in place for these kids that they are honored and recognized in a way that they deserve. And there's been a lot of, you know, hurdles along the way. So, but I agree with you. I do feel like, you know, for the most part, I tried getting my cell phone out there, and I received quite a few calls from parents, and that was by far the best result. I feel like talking through it with them and just saying, hey, this is what we're dealing with, and this has changed, or that has changed, or, you know, this is why we can't do that, and we're waiting on, you know, DPI saying they're putting out guidance here in a little bit with the graduation. That's why we're waiting. You know, we're waiting to hear what they actually say. And, you know, at a couple points in there, you know, I was still hopeful that we might even have a June possible date, which obviously isn't the case. But, you know, at a couple different times, you know, when they were talking about the where the governor's order was at, and, you know, the lawsuits that were in place, I was thinking, okay, we might be able to have a ceremony, you know, for Clear Lake inside the June 30th date. But it is what it is. But I agree with you. I think there needs to be an opportunity for the parents to, you know, at least have some Q&A time and throw questions out there that they have as far as the thought process and where we got to where we're at.
Yeah, you're right, that face-to-face or just speaking with somebody in person there's an element that gets lost in translation that
For sure.
it takes a little bit of time to realize that after you have enough difficult conversations where you have to reiterate and try to get people to understand what you're actually trying to say. But yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I think that's what happened here.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, and I think it gets stepped up every time they hear something, and then it changes a little bit between people, and then now the story is completely different of what it was.
You know, I think that one or two pieces, I guess one piece, because there's two different districts, but you know, variable that was difficult for me, that a lot of the emails, there were common themes of why can Turtle Lake do this and why can Clayton do this, and ultimately they're not. You know, they both of them had to postpone and reschedule theirs, but that was definitely a piece of, you know, you're telling us, you know, there's an insurance piece and there's legal piece and there's, you know, all these restrictions, but why can so and so do it? And I think across the state, you know, there's definitely been a couple districts that have chosen to you know, do a ceremony outside the without the you know, ignoring the guidance of legal counsel and insurance and the restrictions, and unfortunately that is what it is. But you know, I think that potentially would really could open a can of worms for, you know, for sure you'd be liable and potentially you know, open the door for litigation. So, but in the end, I do feel like at least I haven't received any emails since that I feel like, or had conversations that I don't feel like they know that we're all of our hearts are in the right place, that we want what they want. Like ultimately everybody wants the same thing. I mean,
Right.
I mean, when you step back and think, you know, why would the board or myself or any administrator not want to recognize these kids? It just doesn't make sense. Like we all want the same thing. Like these kids deserve that. So anyway, I do feel like I feel like everybody. It seems like everybody's in a good place. Hopefully, I'm not misspeaking. But
No, it's our hope. There's a question, Josh. When does this meeting recording go on YouTube? When would people be able to listen to this discussion?
depends on when Bo puts it on there.
Okay.
I should say Mr. Osmond. So lately it's been a little bit later than normal. Has there been requests?
Well, no, but in the conversations that I'm going to have, I'm going to invite them to listen to the conversation that we as the board and the superintendent administration had
Okay.
about this subject if they don't.
I can be sure I can get it on right away. I can make a note, make sure that it gets on there.
Okay. All right, then I'll use that.
Any other questions with graduation? No, feel free to come back to it. So graduation we talked about. The senior parade is the next document we talked about. You'll see kind of what got sent out to kids, sent the same document to families, to parents, and then you can see the bus route in there and what the plan is for that day.
So was this originally they couldn't do that, and then that changed too at some point?
Yeah, yep. So originally we had put this a parade in place, and then DPI released a document from Dane County Health Department saying that parades were no longer appropriate, and then decided to change that directive, and then they said that depending on your local situation that you are okay to have parades as long as you get the green light from your local health department, which I've done.
Gotcha.
So then the next document is the senior diploma pickup. It's going to look very similar to the May 15th date, as far as where cars are lined up and the location of everybody driving in and out. So then, kind of a totally different note, but in response to the coronavirus, I put this document together. We got help from the other administrators as well. And for support staff, because the Safer at Home order is in place till May 26th, it really limited our ability to have support staff working during this time. You guys were gracious enough to approve the 100% pay for everyone, but wanted to put something in place to have some level of accountability, along with something where we can say our individuals are growing professionally as well. So 80 hours, decided on 80 hours, which is 16 hours per week. That reflects kind of what we're doing with food service and custodial. Plus, we also wanted to say, okay, we can't expect 40 hours because we all, everybody has families and they're dealing with other, their own situation as well. So that was kind of, how I came up with the 80 hours. I'm not gonna even pretend like it was a great idea, but that's how I got to the 80 hours. That wasn't, I figured what's the most appropriate. So anyway, sent this out to all support staff. So anything that improve their professional development, with the exception of a couple different areas where we were asking them to help out with food service, meal packing, meal delivery, meal packing, and then elementary homework distribution. Our support staff have been unbelievable. They really have been rock stars throughout this whole ordeal. It has been very impressive to be a part of, and to be leading a district with the staff that we have has been, I couldn't have asked for a better situation considering what the cards that we've been dealt with this. Everybody has been so willing to step up and help out, and I really wouldn't say that if it wasn't true. Like our transportation crew has been unbelievable with distributing all of the meals. Our support staff have really stepped up and helped out with all of this stuff. So anyway, with the meal delivery, the meal packing, and the homework distribution, I put everybody's name in, and then we just kind of rotated them through. And then there's a couple individuals that, due to health, underlying health issues, that have opted to not be a part of those, and that's their own personal preference. But overall, the majority have been a part of it. So with that, it hasn't been like we can get them, enough hours during the week. So anybody that does, on the third page of this, you can see, anybody that does the meal delivery, they get 4.5 hours, meal packing 4.5 hours, elementary homework distribution 3 hours, and then any staff meetings that we've had equates to an hour. So then we created a list on the very front page of different things that we felt like would grow them professionally. So DPI has trauma-sensitive training modules, their webinars that you can just go in there and watch. We have an autism training through DPI, the same thing. CES11 is doing Paraeducator Academy, where you can zoom in and have Zooming meeting. Then we've asked a couple teaching staff to provide offer book studies, and the Help for Billy is a book study that these two individuals did for our teachers for opt-out hours. It was very well received, a great book. So we're offering that for the support staff as well. Kim Torgerson, who's our speech and language pathologist, is doing executive functioning training. Patty J is running our CPI training, which that we're going to require that one for all of our special ed staff because they have to do it anyway. And then we're also allowing kind of individual book studies, but we have limited amount of books in the district, so anything that we feel like will grow them professionally, we're just checking out on an individual basis. Then I'm asking all individuals to track it professionally. I have made the decision for a handful of people to handful of individuals that don't have to, that I'm not requiring to do this because I've been asking them to work. Lori Karnick is a good example. Like, she's been coming in 3-4 days a week to do payroll and to keep the district office items moving forward. We also had the membership audit, which was unbelievable, but we just finished that up last week. So Mona in the elementary, Kristen Labrie in the high school office, I was working with them, doing that. So those type of individuals, I'm having them not take part in this. But the individuals that are taking part, we're having them log all their hours, has to equal 80 hours, and then we're going to sign off, each of us sign off on it, and then just throw it in their files to document that that's the professional development did take place, during this time, and that they were required to do some professional development during this time. I feel like I'm talking really fast and throwing a lot at you, but any questions on this document?
Oh, this is a good substitute.
I feel like it was well received. I haven't received any negative, any frustration with it, but I also do feel like it's been our approach. Mr. Peterson and I met with the support staff. We had a Zoom camera for anybody that didn't want to come in, and then we staggered everyone throughout the elementary. Made sure that they were 6 feet apart, and then Mr. Peterson kind of monitored the Zoom camera while I talked to them. And we've said, if there's anything on your end where you feel like you can't complete this, please communicate with us. If you have any stuff going on at home, please let us know. And right now I've just had one individual that have some kids and homework, and she just doesn't feel like she can complete it. So we've just set up just kind of an agreement to say, we'll give you throughout the end of summer to finish all of this and do kind of some of the book reading, individual book study kind of on your own. And she seemed great with it. So other than that, it seems like it's been well received. Yeah, and I do think it's I think they very much appreciate that as a board you guys approved the 100% compensation for them too. So any questions with this? I can say too, we just kind of whipped this together, tried to get it as quickly as we could to get it in everybody's hands. And there's been some support staff that have made some really good recommendations, like that last item, transforming challenging behavior. I didn't come up with that. That was Kim Becker had, done it at some point and sent it to me. And there's been a couple other items like that too. So it's been nice to see their involvement and saying, hey, does this work? Could this qualify? And we've been very flexible with that too. Anything that's remotely close to professional growth we want to honor, and there hasn't been anything that I've received that I've had to say, no, that's not. I mean, it's all been, yeah, that looks like it'd be great. So that's that. Then we have elementary students and families. We've been doing the homework drop off and distribution. It's been going really well. But I think it's been going really well because there's been so many people willing to help out. I don't know, Mr. Peterson, if you wanted to talk on that at all, but
yeah, I think that's kind of been the big focus at the elementary, is just these 2-week cycles of distributing more. I mean, we had a lot of sort of questions to figure out as we went, because like everybody, we just started at the drop of a hat and didn't have a plan, and then kind of figured out, okay, this is going to last a little longer, so we had to come up with, okay, every 2 weeks, and how are we going to do it, and are we going to be virtual, are we going to be pencil and paper? Had to make those kind of decisions, and how to distribute it, and just how to do it safely. And so it's just a lot of figuring out all those logistics and stuff with the handout, communication with parents, communication with staff, and figuring out a sort of policy along the way. Okay, so what does this mean now for grades, or what does this mean now for, and those are discussions across the whole district, obviously, with high school elementary, and what's appropriate at different levels. And once we found out again that school closure would be through the rest of the year, then that brought up a whole other round of questions and logistics to figure out with, okay, parents asking, okay, does that mean you're going to stop sending home homework? No, we're going to send it home. Does that mean the lunch program is stopping? No, we're going to keep doing the lunch program. So just those kind of things, making sure we're getting that information out, and how to collect, stuff back from parents, how to get students' personal property into the hands of parents, and many of you have been part of that, the drop-offs and the pickups. And yeah, the staff has been tremendous. The support staff in the office with helping organize things, and getting it prepared. And then we've had teachers, we want to maintain the social distancing in small numbers, and so then we've had the week before, then we'll set up times, and the teacher teams, I ask them to come in as a team, grade level team. They come in shifts, so they get like a half a day. First it was a 3-hour period, now we've been doing longer periods because we're asking them to do more things and different things. So then they kind of sign up the week before what time they're coming in, to kind of keep it to a small number of people in the building at a time. And then, so this last round, of course, they were not just getting the next bit of schoolwork ready, but they were also, gathering up all the personal items, putting them into bags, lining them up in the gym, labeling with names. And, this time around now, they're doing the last round of homework. We're asking them to do it without textbooks, so we can start collecting textbooks. And then also start to inventory things that are coming coming in and start cleaning up their rooms, just begin that process. So, so the staff's been doing an awesome job. And again, it's that communication barrier that we have. So, as admin team, we're trying to create good communications to share out, but, so then, thank goodness for Google Forms and Google Docs, because we can share things with each other and kind of collaborate on it and make sure it's worded right. And okay, you read this, it makes sense to me. Does it make sense to you? And so everything is slower because of that distance, and then
I think
communicate.
our wives have probably read more documents as well. Can you look at this from a educator? Does that make sense to you?
As a parent. And then sharing it with staff, and again, it's the distance factor with the staff. Normally you can have a face-to-face meeting. There's just that element of communication that you lose, so, but we've still been having Zoom meetings, online meetings pretty much every week. So it's just, it's just been more planning and logistics and just kind of supporting and cheerleading and trying to keep everybody in a positive frame of mind. And I think the last time when we did have the staff come in and do the little bus circle celebration for people, I think that really boosted everybody's morale a little bit. I mean, I would say 80% of the vehicles, because we had publicized it, I bet 80% had kids in them, which was awesome. People brought their kids, and
it's been kind of a social experiment. When the very first round of homework, everyone was smiling. It was like, oh, there are teachers, and on both ends, it was nice to see people. And then it was nice out. Starting to get nice out. And then the second round, it was rainy. The governor had just released what had just come
final
out.
Closure,
the final. We're not coming back had just been released, and you could just see it was just like everyone was kind of like, just a major bummer across the, across the board. And then the last one we've had with the elementary parade was I thought it was awesome. I thought the staff, everybody was in good spirits. It was great to see the kids, everybody smiling, waving. It was nice to be a part of.
Yeah.
So hopefully the next one goes like that too.
Yeah, good weather helps, and the parents were in good spirits, and we had good response. We still had some families that couldn't make it, who didn't make it, so we hope that they make it to pick up the rest of their stuff. And it was, and I too, for me personally, so the first couple times we did it, that early half of April to like 3 weeks there, I was not feeling well. I was pretty sick, and so I want to thank Mr. Ernst and Mr. Rosine were really helpful, being kind of there on site when I couldn't be, and kind of being in charge, but then all the support staff that was there. And I kind of felt like I was like, the Wizard of Oz in the background, sending all the emails and making all the stuff, but then everyone else was doing it, so it was really great to have, everybody's help and support, and to be there when I couldn't be there. So, Mr. Ernst has been working his tail off in both buildings, helping out. And just really good teamwork going on. So everybody's doing their part.
Yeah, and at one point, our support staff have really been, like I said, rocking. You go to these, either the homework pickup or the distribution, everybody's been in good spirits, and they kind of get where we're at, what we're dealing with, and even during Mr. Peterson was out sick, we meeting with him, and at one point during the meeting, I thought I was going to lose him during the meeting. It's kind of like half of his body was in the camera, but anyway, we're getting through it, and the elementary pickups have been going really well. The junior senior high ones are going to start. So this week's Thursday, Friday, we're keeping it consistent with the elementary. So it's going to be Thursday the 14th from 3 to 6 p.m. And then Friday 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. is kind of what we're doing. This week we're going to do the senior drop-off stuff, and then the following week we're going to be releasing information for the rest of the 7th through 11th grade to get some of whether it's textbooks and devices. But it really has been like building a plane while you're flying. Just because of even little things of what are we supposed to do with this? Are we supposed to be looking through the homework? Are we okay to touch it? And you're contacting the CISAs and reaching out to different the health services, and they're trying to get you information, and they're saying, well, yeah, some fat depends on what kind of fabric and what kind of material. It can live up to 72 hours, so just bag it, leave it, don't look at it, burn it. It's just kind of like you're getting all these different this information that you're not really sure what is accurate and what isn't accurate. So we're trying to do our best to navigate that on top of it. So like I said, we're we're getting, we have a plan in place for the seniors this week, and the next week is going to be the rest of the 7th through 12th, or I'm sorry, 7th through 11th grade students. Then as far as lunch program, they've been, initially there was a little bit of a rough patch of trying to figure out what the heck we're doing and where the money's coming from. But, as you guys know, the DPI released the summer school funding for our for our lunch program. So what we're doing with the lunch program, we're going to continue through June 5th, the Friday to June 5th, the 2 days a week. And then after that, we're going to go to 1 day a week through June 30th. And then the 1 day a week is going to be 5 meals, 5 lunches, 5 breakfasts that we're going to be distributing, and we're going to move towards like a more of a frozen, so like chicken nuggets will be frozen, and then you get a little direction on what to do with them. And then we're going to continue with the backpack program through June 30th as well. So that's kind of our plan for the lunch program. That's been very well received too. I thought for sure we'd be dealing with, we didn't know what was coming. We didn't know what the virus would do in our area, and we've been very lucky. And with kind of, I don't want to, sound naive, but it doesn't sound like we've dealt with what other areas have really had to deal with. So we've been very lucky to keep all of our staff, going. Everything's been, we haven't had to move away from the delivery model that we've been doing. And like I said, the bus drivers have really stepped up and done an awesome job on delivering, along with our support staff, getting everything ready for them. So how that looks, just so you guys know, is we have 3 supports. We have our full kitchen staff making all of the meals, and then we get 3 support staff that come and help pack everything. And then one of those individuals hops in a van. We have 2 people every van, and then they go out and deliver. And then the other 2 individuals go over to the elementary and monitor the pickup. So the individuals that come and pick up their meals, they monitor that, and then the rest of them are out on the road with delivering.
We're up to over 300 meals now, or 300 kids. So and they're sending out multiple meals. So they're they're packing and sending out 600 meals on Mondays and Wednesdays. Each day.
600 sandwiches.
Yeah, and everything else. Yeah, so it's the kitchen staff and support. They've been doing just an awesome job. And, been very well received.
Yep.
It's like a highlight for the kids too when the van pulls out. Like, there's somebody here. I can't talk to them, but at least somebody showed up.
Yeah.
Back to finishing up with the pickups for the homework for the elementary kids. Are we going to have to do some chasing after the last date?
Yeah. So I'm glad you asked that. I kind of got away from that. So our idea, we want to have things turned in this week, the 14th, 15th, so that gives us 2 extra weeks for the staff. Well, let things sit for a week, and then have the staff hopefully then come in that week of the 26th, inventory, what are we missing, and then start making phone calls or sending letters, trying to chase people down. And then we're gonna we will have one more drop off opportunity on the 29th, I think, so that if parents, if they do want to drop in any completed work, but also one last chance to and obviously we're trying to emphasize get everything in by the 15th. We're not really talking about the 29th, but we just obviously if somebody wants to bring something in, we're going to say, hey, bring it in the 29th. And I've tried to emphasize that we need it. And then every year we go into summer with some things missing, and so if we have to chase people down and send letters, and we'll have to do that, I guess.
It's like every textbook, every library book.
Yeah. And not that many textbooks. It's not like they sent all the textbooks home, but quite a few teachers sent little classroom reading books that they had, like in their book boxes. Some textbooks went home. Library books. We were proud of the fact we checked out 1,100 library books. The 2 days before we closed, because Mrs. Meyer and I talked that Monday morning, and we said, because normally they have a limit of, they can have 2 out at a time, and we just said, let's make it at least 5 that they can have. And so a lot of kids checked out a lot of books, which was great. Wanted to get books in their hands. And we got a lot of them back last time around, but we'll get more back this time, I'm sure. So, summer school is the other thing too. That was another decision that, along the way when we found the final closure, we had to kind of wrestle with what to do with summer school. And I'm sure you talked about that, the June summer school we're not able to do. The possibility that we've tried to look at is early August, like a 2-week summer school there that may look very different than it's traditionally looked in the past. So we put together a survey, and Mr. Ernst sent out to staff to gauge their interest at that time frame when we could maybe do it. But there's still a lot of questions about whether we'll even be able to do that at that time. If I was a betting man, I'd tell you which way I'd bet right now, but we still want to not rule out the possibility and, give an opportunity to come in and, for students at least to do some catch up or get reacclimated and boosted up before the school year starts.
Will that be just offered like it was before, or would that be K through 12?
I think, I would guess, I would probably, we've offered it K-8, usually the June one, and we don't get much participation from 7th and 8th graders, or even many 6th graders. We try to, but they just, by that age, they're kind of over going to summer school, I guess, too cool or whatever, too old, but I'm guessing it would probably be more elementary oriented. High school, it gets to more of a credit recovery,
Right.
mentality or mindset, what's important, so.
And if we're able to, we'll still do the credit deficient,
Yeah.
offer the,
Right.
and go through the list of kids
Even.
For,
for 9, 12.
okay.
Well, 9, 11, I guess it would be.
And we know no matter what we do, even in August, it's going to be imperfect and it's only going to do so much. And, and many of the kids who would benefit the most from being there maybe won't choose to come or their parents won't choose to send them. So, you hear people talk nationally or whatever, or maybe not in education about, well, we do this to get them caught up. And I think we got to kind of just take a step back and take a breath and say, okay, put it in big perspective. Over the 14 years that we have these kids, I think we can make up this time that we're missing, and I've used the example with our staff about the Hurricane Katrina kids. They missed a year of school or maybe 6 months of school, and, just to try to keep it in their perspective of their whole life, what this time is going to mean to them, and that we need to remember to maybe not overestimate our own importance in the academic world and worry about, I think we've been doing a great job of this, focusing on what's best for kids as children and their mental health and their family life, and are they safe and healthy, and so that's the first priority.
So hopefully we'll be able to offer something in August, but we're pretty certain that it'll look very different than a kind of a normal summer school offering. Even the discussions that I've been having every Tuesday with, looking at the kind of reentry plans for next fall, and a lot of those stuff, a lot of those items that we're discussing, if they're going to have to be in place in September, they're certainly going to have to be in place, in August. And, as far as limiting transitions and, try to limit the exposure that kids are with one another. And so most likely if we did do it, it'd be more of, I hate to use the term like self-contained, but more of a like a self-contained where, maybe a teacher has the same kids for all 3 periods, or the first 2 periods are, ELA and math focus, and then the last one is something fun. But just started on that recently, and we'll, I think that guidance supposedly is coming from the Department of Public Instruction as well. So we'll be looking to see what they have to say and how they want to, what their directive is. So, okay. I think that's it for kind of our response to the, what we're dealing with. Unless you guys have any kind of follow-up questions on any of those items.
Okay, then I'll move on to the next item of business, the approval of the staff resignation. Now reading Mr. Kmonik's letter. Dear Mr. Ernst and the Clear Lake School Board, please accept this written statement as a notice of my desire to resign from my position as 5th grade teacher at the conclusion of the 2019-20 school year. The decision to resign has not been an easy one. It has been both an honor and a privilege to work in your school district for the past 20 years. The Clear Lake School District has given me memories that will last a lifetime. Sincerely, Wyatt Kmonik.
So can we just not approve?
I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve.
Second.
Everybody thinks it's been, trying to blink. What am I supposed to say right now?
Moved and approved.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the resignation of Mr. Kmonik. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I'll speak for many too. Wish him the best of luck. He'll be a huge loss for us. He was a great teacher and a great employee, and just a good guy. And wish him all the best. And glad that he'll be in the same district as his family. His wife teaches over there, and his kids go there. But either way, he'll be a loss. He was a great teacher in the district.
Okay, so we'll move on to consideration and approval of the 2021 health and dental insurance renewals.
Okay, some good news. I should say great news. First time since I've been here that we've had a 0% increase in health and dental. And as you know, that's a big ticket item for our budget. So that's was very excited to hear that. So
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the health and dental insurance.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded to approve the health and dental insurance renewal. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. The next item of business is the approval of the 2021 support staff contracts.
okay, so I have all three levels of contracts: support staff, teacher contracts, and admin contracts. The recommendation from the legal counsel for all districts is to do what we're currently doing, which was nice to hear. So what we typically do is, or what we've done since past practice since I've been here, is we offer the contracts from the current year, and then once the official numbers come in the fall, then you guys approve to readjust those with these contracts. Looking for, we're hopeful that we'll be able to do a 2% increase again, but then you guys approve that, and then whatever it is, and then the retro pay happens at that time. That was the recommendation from legal counsel for all of the districts across the state to do during this time, and we already do it. So all three of those contracts are this year's current contracts, just indicating that they have contracts for next year with no salary adjustments tied to them. The current salaries of this year, and then the salary adjustment will be talked about for all three areas in the fall. Does that make sense? Okay.
I move to approve all three contracts. Do that.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded to approve our support staff contracts. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. The next item of business is the approval of the teacher contracts 2021.
You approved all three.
We did all three.
Oh, did all three, okay.
So aye.
Okay. Then we'll move on. This is what happens when you guys make me skip dinner.
He didn't make you skip dinner.
The next item of business is consideration and approval of the school bus purchase.
Okay, so I put the two quotes in there. We have the Mid-State came in at $90,421, and the Nelsons came in at $89,573. The thought is, or what I'm looking for the approval on, is to do a percentage during this fiscal year and then a percentage in next year's fiscal budget as well. So whatever percentage that looks like will kind of depend on what the numbers look like at the end of this next month. But either way, it will. We can't purchase, regardless, even if we have the money, we can't purchase it all with this year's budget just because of the auditing process. So figured we do part of it with this year's and part of it with next year's.
Question on the buses.
Yep.
And I don't know what there are for options on buses, but I don't think we've ever really considered having a fancy bus that we used, on our regular routes, and then kind of had a fancy bus to take people to games and whatever. But has it ever been kicked around of having an upper tier one bus that we could use for?
Like a coach bus, are you talking, or?
Well, no, just a regular bus, but a fancier one, tinted windows, TVs in the back of the, no. But I mean, just an upgraded model of a bus that, that the varsity teams could use when they're traveling, or, just throwing it out there.
Yeah. It's never been brought up to me. I'm not sure what the different
But
options
those would
are.
be cool, yeah, with the engine in the back.
I can certainly ask.
I think too, they try to usually schedule the newer ones, some of the, well, we always give the drivers a hard time because one of the new ones, does have tinted windows and had the fancy wheels too. These, who was it? Doug was driving there, used to give him a hard time, or maybe it was Tom who used to drive it. But I think they do try to, schedule those newest, nicest
better
ones
ones
for the longer trips and for the games.
All right, just 10 cents worth. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the bus.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded to approve the school bus purchase. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The next item of business is the consideration of spring coaching compensation.
Okay, so here's another kind of one of those scenarios that has had a moving target, as the closure happened. So, the June 30th is the no school, no facilities, and then WI released information that there could be contact time after June 30th, but not overlap with the fall season, which is, your first, second week of August, depending on the school year. So there really is, it's a very short window of time. Our conference has taken the stance that they won't endorse any competitions, with the spring sports. It'll be very difficult, and I'll be curious to see how it kind of all plays out, because even our sports teams, you have kids that are going off to, they're not going to come, they don't want to compete, and they won't. So then that limits the ability for some of the team sports anyway. But anyway, I guess the question at hand is the compensation for the spring coaches. Every other position we've done the 100% compensation. I feel like this is, kind of would be a nice gesture to do as well. I think there are other pieces at play that I think it's in our best interest to do as well, with the different, things that are being released as far as opening, potential litigation as well, but also with the coaching staff, the coaches can now apply for unemployment as well. I don't know if they qualify with that anyway, but I just feel like every other position that we've done, we've compensated all individuals 100%, and we've had the spring coaches have really been in kind of we've had, like, I'll give you an example. Our spring coach, track coach, she's been giving out, recommendation to kids and working and communicating with the kids as far as different programs and workouts. And so it's not like they haven't been doing anything. They've been doing, as much as they possibly can, I guess, during this time. And then we don't know what that, 30-day period will look like in July anyway. So I put it on there. I mean, you guys can certainly discuss it and talk about it, or if you want to table it and make a decision next time and think about it more, or if you have questions or if you need any more information that you need me to get, just kind of threw it out there as whatever you guys would like to do, I'm open to.
I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve that we pay them what we normally do.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded to pay the spring coaching staff. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item of business is approval of 66.0301.
Okay, so this is an agreement. So prior to the school closures, I had been meeting with Turtle Lake, Clayton, and Prairie Farm superintendents, and then also admin teams and counselors that have been a part of some of those meetings. We'd been meeting once a month. We had decided to kind of collaborate, look at, what do you offer, what do we offer, different academic offerings and some non-academic offerings. Like an example, lifeguard training, Turtle Lake threw out there as a possibility. So anyway, we decided that all four of us would bring this to our board for approval, to align in an agreement as far as the breakdown in compensation for not compensation, but the district pay per course per student, and then we can still iron out the details later. But another example, Clayton offers it's an academy for construction. I don't know if it's called Construction Academy or what it is, but the kids go into this academy and they take classes and learn different construction type. They take construction type classes and then they get a certificate out of it at the end. A couple of districts were very intrigued by our Microsoft offerings and what we have to offer with some of our Microsoft classes. We really talked about a lot of different offerings as far as what every district can bring to the table. So we're still in the process of kind of ironing what it all would look like, and almost at the end we kind of thought, maybe we create a list, kind of like a menu of what we have to offer, what we'd be willing to have other kids come in and take part in, and then they would do the same. So for the most part, it'd really be more of your singleton, higher level kids for the most. Most of it'd be a couple kids here and there at your probably junior, senior level. Any questions with that?
It's a great way to maximize teaching staff.
Yeah, the only hurdle that we that we're kind of trying to work out is the transportation. Not all of our obviously our schedules are different, and a lot, do we align that? How do we make sure? Do we just provide flexibility with because there's so few kids that will probably take part in this? Do we just allow flexibility with those individual kids and scheduling? So that was probably the biggest hurdle. Everybody was very open and willing to collaborate. It's just the transportation piece of how do we get kids to and from, and how does that impact their schedule in-house. So.
Do we have ITV capabilities here after the Microsoft? That's fairly easy to
Yep, we talked about ITV as well, like some of our AP classes. There was some interest in those as well. Like the Hamilton class. So there's
the honor one.
Yep.
That's awesome.
So, we talked about like what happens if snow day, one cancels, one doesn't. What do we do? So we talked about some of that, and then the last meeting we brought in the counselors as well to kind of get their input. And at the end, everyone was in agreement that this is a good idea, but not really sure what it would look like as far as what the different offerings are. But we all felt like it was beneficial to all kids across all 4 districts. So that's what this is, just a agreement saying that we're willing to take part in this, and then the details will come.
I hope to approve. Sounds great.
Been properly moved and seconded to approve 66.0301 agreement. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. The next item of business is the approval of the 1920 budget revision. Fund 21.
Okay. Lori, feel free to hop in if you have anything to add. But so the budget revision is the implementation of the GASB 84. DPI made a requirement that we had to change all of our accounts that were in our Fund 60 were moved into Fund 21. So whenever there's a change in your budget, I think we've done this once since I've been here as far as a budget revision. I think it was for the purchase of a bus. You guys have to approve to amend that budget. So we have to make changes. So nothing as far as what was spent has been changed. We just had to change the location of the funds and where it was because of DPI. And I want to say it was for more accountability.
Yeah, and reported where Fund 60 we never really had reported at all with DPI. So now we do.
So if you have any questions, ask Lori. Any questions?
I move to approve the new fund, or voting the fund.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded to approve the budget revision. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. Next item of business is the approval of the purchase of a lawnmower.
Okay, so we have a 10-year-old, I think it's 10 plus years old, that we use to mow kind of all the small locations around the elementary grounds and then the bus garage as well. We have a larger one that we use, but the smaller one we use to get kind of all of the smaller stuff. The 2 quotes that are listed, we do a trade-in. The trade-ins are included in those prices. The trade-in, the John Deere is listed at $36,944, but if you take all the bells and whistles, they just put everything on there. It'd be about $3,000 to $5,000 less. What we'd like to purchase is the grasshopper. The grasshopper is the $18,500. So you're not paying for the green color.
And that's what they currently have as a grasshopper model.
Yep.
I remember Tom said something to me about getting replacement, and he was talking about how old it is, and I said, well, I remember when we bought that thing. So it tells, I guess it's one of those signals that it means I've been here a long time. I remember when we got that thing.
What does he prefer?
He recommends a grasshopper just because of the price.
I move to approve lawnmower purchase.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded to approve the purchase of a lawnmower. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item of business is review of Neola policies.
Okay, there are 4 policies I have listed on there for us to go over. They're short policies. I knew this was going to be a long one. They're at the end of the documents in your booklet. And a couple of them are extremely short. So the first one, got to read it slow so I pronounce it right. Indemnification, policy number 0144.4. Pretty much just says that you guys are covered if there's a lawsuit against one of you individually.
I like that
Sounds
one.
good. On to the next one.
You good with that one?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The next one I'll have you read through. It's policy 0145, sexual form and other forms of harassment. Any need for revisions or changes in there? Pretty straightforward. All good with that one? Okay. Policy number 0151, the annual school district meeting. There was a typo. It's supposed to say 7 p.m. You guys had changed that last year. We moved to the 7 p.m. Annual meeting time. So
Isn't it in August?
yes, it is.
Just says the 4th Monday in July, so.
Yep. In August, so the board shall hold an annual meeting on the 4th Monday in August at 7 p.m. unless the electors at the annual meeting set a different date and time for the subsequent meetings, or authorize the board to set different date and time for the subsequent meetings. But in no case shall the annual meeting be held earlier than May 15th or later than August 31st. The meeting shall... What's that?
October.
I'm sorry, what did I say? I'm sorry, October 31st. The meeting shall be held for the purpose prescribed by 120.08, 120.09 Wisconsin State Statutes. The meeting shall be called to order by the ranking officer of the board, who shall serve as the presiding officer until the election of a chairperson. Good, other than the August and 7 p.m. change.
Any of that potentially conflict with this year's school starting on the 1st? I mean, is that a Tuesday, or you don't see any conflict with, is that back-to-back days? As far as you guys was beginning of school stuff? You know how school is starting before Labor Day.
Yeah.
I think this could be the Monday and then school starts
So
Tuesday.
So it might be the 5th Monday.
Is that the 5th Monday
I'm
then?
not sure. I know.
That's just something to think about.
Yeah,
I
because
didn't know
over
how
the
that
years, the
calendar
calendars
fell.
rotated, we've never had that. Yeah, it's the 5th Monday.
So
we'd
we're
be
still
okay.
safe.
Yeah.
It'd still be the week before.
So it's the week before.
Would be August 24th would be
Yeah.
So your teachers would be coming in, but.
Yeah, later,
Good.
and we've had that. for
Okay.
many years,
Yeah.
so. Good question.
Yeah. So good with that one? Okay. And then the last one is the annual reorganization of the board, annual board reorganization meeting, policy 0151.1.
Looks good.
Okay. Okay. That's it.
All right, the next item of business then is our superintendent notes. Mr. Ernst.
Okay, I think I've covered everything that I could cover. No, other than our calendars have really drastically changed as far as the amount of meetings and emails and stuff, but most have gone Zoom. But I don't see anything in here that on my calendar that we haven't already talked about, and everything's been touched on, other than, you know, maybe the awards ceremony. We're recording Thursday, you know, in the afternoon this week, but other than that, that's it. Everything else I think I've hit, so.
Okay. Then the next item of business are the future agenda items. Anybody have anything that you want to bring up for the next meeting? How about meeting times? Can we revisit that next meeting?
So you can get separate.
5 would be better. No, I'm kidding.
I'm
I'm like,
good.
some of us don't get off work until 5.
Yeah. In the morning, you talking?
Yeah, that'd be best.
Anything else, you guys?
No, probably just more policies.
Do you guys want that as an agenda item, or or do you just want to talk about the meeting time?
Let's just put it on the agenda, we'll talk, that'll give everybody a heads up and
Okay.
play with thoughts.
Are you thinking you want it later, Greg?
Well, you know, yeah.
Just so it's not right at supper time.
That's
Yeah,
hard.
maybe a Snickers for Greg.
Kids to feed.
Do we start talking about budget?
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Today's Peter's birthday. You know, go.
I had to go to my daughter's birthday night too. It didn't go over well.
Anything else you guys want on there? No.
I'm sure we'll find some excitement here in the next period of time to put on there.
No.
Okay.
DPI will change things sometimes before we're anyway.
Sure. By tomorrow morning.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. We are adjourned.